All right. Witchcraft.
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 Which fucking crafts? Are we talking about macrame?
Yes.
Or spells?
Both.
Hexes?
X's.
Knitting? Finger painting?
Curses.
Hi guys! Welcome to Spooky Sundays with Kat and Max.
We've changed platforms. We started on Instagram and now we're here.
Yeah, we used to do this just for fun on Instagram Live to our friends once a week. And now we just decided let's make it a little more professional. So if you have followed us here from Instagram, awesome, thank you, welcome. I'm much scarier in high def.
Right. Every pore fully visible.
Every
for
pore.
everyone to see.
Every spot. All my chins.
I'll just sit like this to...
Thank you, Max.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's been
Appreciate it. Skinny motherfucker.
We are talking witchcraft today, and you're a pretty witchy woman.
I am a pretty witchy woman. I definitely worry that I kind of straddle that line between like witch as an aesthetic instead of witch as a lifestyle, religious observance, etc. And it does seem like in 2020, there's a big range of that. We've got like our hot topic witches, I guess.
We got Spirit Halloween White Sage.
We've got Spirit Halloween White Sage. You can go into a Spirit Halloween and buy a big old bundle of white sage in like plastic wrap, and I just...
So if you have someone who wants to smudge your home, maybe ask them where they bought the sage from first.
Maybe just don't use white sage. There's deep religious elements to white sage. It's harder to get to now because of the overharvesting for the white people. So let's just stop doing it. If I can give one piece of advice to any baby witches out there, 1, don't hex the moon. 2, research. Witchcraft is a great thing, in my opinion. It's a very like individual practice, which is great. Everyone has their own version of what they do and how they practice, but you want to be really, really careful that you're not trampling on something that's bigger than you.
Or, getting together and hexing the moon.
Don't hex the moon.
If you want to group hex something, hex Donald Trump. Lana Del Rey did it, we can do it too.
Political.
ACAB.
Oh dear. Ooh, we're gonna get shut down on episode 1. Looking forward to it, America.
Instagram didn't cancel us and YouTube won't either.
True. Until we start talking about alien abductions. But subscribe for more!
We'll talk aliens in another episode, but here we're talking about witches.
My personal foray into practicing witchcraft initially started when I was about like probably 20 or 21. I just started reading about it, and I started where a lot of people start with Wicca, and because there's so much information about Wicca and practices and things like that, and I've gone deeper into it since. But what I've found a lot of people do is they pick and choose from different elements of practice. You've got brujeria, you've got Wicca, you've got light work, you've got dark work. I don't even know if that's what you call it. Dark work? Black work?
Shadow work.
Shadow work. Sounds a lot cooler. No, that sounds right.
It's a Curly album, so I just figure she's a witchy woman too, so I figure if anyone knows what it is.
I believe Curly.
I believe Curly.
I believe Curly.
It's so interesting, all the gays especially, I feel like it's so... There's such a commodification of witchcraft, and so many people are like, I'm a witch and I practice witchcraft. So now I have to worry when I'm going on a date with a dude and it doesn't go well, is he gonna hex me after? And with all the shit like I've been having in 2020, I wouldn't be surprised if that's happened already.
I was gonna say, have you been hexed?
I'm fully fucking convinced. Why do you think I have this fucking protection talisman of healing that I got from the fucking Saska sisters? Because I'm convinced that I've been cursed.
Maybe he has.
I don't know who would have done it, but
I think that's a terrifying possibility
It would not surprise me.
I think that's a terrifying possibility that's just occurred to the both of us.
I've had a lot of really weird things go down in a very short span of time. I probably deserve it, but Yeah, I don't know. It's yeah, but like it becomes such like a commodity, like where everyone's doing it. And I think with the age of like internet, especially, they didn't have internet in the Salem witch trials, folks. Believe it or not.
Believe it or not, that mass hysteria cultivated all on its own. No fake news necessary.
Yeah, now it would be much easier. But it's also there's also that theory that it was like shrooms in the water or something that they used to make like bread
really?
Or some shit. I don't know much. We here at Spooky Sundays aren't necessarily going to be 100% factually accurate. You're here because we're funny.
Don't come here for facts.
Don't come here for facts. We might give you some. And we'll let you know, like, we looked this up and this is a thing. But I remember reading that it was like shrooms and like they would like make bread and only the rich people could afford it, so they all started hallucinating off like tripping balls. And then like so they believed that they were seeing naked women dancing with demons and serpents in the moonlight, and they were like and they would kind of get like feverish and crazy. Or there was some bacteria or some shit in like the wheat or something that poor people ate. I don't remember exactly.
Shit.
But that's why they would get all like sickly or whatever, and why like
well, guess what? Yeah. That's why we have this.
That's why we can
because I'm curious. Do y'all remember the Salem witch trials? I remember the Salem witch trials.
Fun fact about the Salem witch trials: in Salem, Massachusetts, the place that they say that witches were hanged is not actually where they were hanged. The place where they were hanged is now a Walgreens, I believe. Thank
Really?
you. Yeah, it was like a Walgreens or a 7-Eleven. I remember I was watching Ask a Mortician, and she was saying that like she's like actually it's right here. And it was just this fucking like street with like a fucking Walgreens there, and it's like that's not nearly as exciting as like hiking up a hill. Like,
ooh, okay, interesting. So Max was absolutely right. Interesting. Wow. Okay. It's something called ergot poisoning, or ergotism, causes outbreaks of bizarre behavior. Eating ergot-contaminated food can lead to a compulsive disorder characterized by violent muscle spasms, vomiting, delusions, hallucinations, crawling sensations on the skin, and a host of other symptoms, all of which are present in the records of the Salem witchcraft trials.
That just sounds like a normal weekend for me.
Hey! The diaries of Salem residents find that these exact conditions would have been present in 1691, that ergot needs to thrive. So warm, damp, rainy summers and springs. That's so cool. I mean, not cool, obviously, but wow. So basically these symptoms could have contributed both to people like behaving like what people would think witches would behave like, but also could have contributed to like paranoia and hallucinations of people thinking they were seeing crazy shit.
There's two parts of it though, because there's that, and then there's the kind of like exploitation that people knew they could like get rid of a rival or someone they didn't like by saying like, oh well, I saw her dancing naked with the demons in the moonlight, and she's clearly a witch.
Oh,
I have nothing at stake here. I just get her entire home and all her fortune if I ship her off to get hanged.
That's what's so scary. Like, you have, like, what probably started out as something quote-unquote earnest.
Right.
Like, this earnest fear of, like, oh my god, this person might be a witch. And whether that was because something was medically wrong with them and they were behaving in a way that these other people had no explanation for. Because, like, 1691, you don't have, like, good medical science there.
Right.
You have, like, everything was so religion-based and so supernatural. Like, people had supernatural elements to their everyday life,
right,
in a way that we don't have. It was their answer to every question.
I think that kind of holds like today comparatively. You have like back then, like I mean back way back, like people believed that like the devil was the root cause of like everything, everyone's suffering and like all this stuff. And now you just have fucking Karen on Facebook being like, the gays are existing because the God is mad and the devil is proliferating and sin is everywhere. And it's like, well, it's not really, you're cherry picking. And so like it's not like a true fear of evil and the devil. It's more just like bigotry.
So we still have people that are living like they only have the amount of information that was available in 1691. But famine. Now we understand that like a bad crop season is caused by now predictable weather events and other scientific factors. All they had in 1690 was God is punishing us.
There's also kind of the fear of the other. You got like a woman who like is like sexually free or like a little like weird, and then like suddenly all this shit goes down. You start to do causation correlation, and suddenly she's a witch and she's causing all this because she's weird, and it wasn't like this before she came into town.
But then you're absolutely right. It does become this witch hunt, to put it lightly, where once there's somebody who's been accused of being a witch, it becomes kind of like a device. And I think they explore that a lot in The Crucible, Arthur Miller's The Crucible, which I don't know if y'all had to read in high school, but I had to read it in high school. And I just was like, oh, this is what you're making me read? You're going to make me read about witches and shit? Cool. But it's fascinating. It's really like it, because that's what started happening. You've got fucking Winona Ryder convincing everybody that the dude that she's banging's wife is a witch so that he can get her out of the way. Did you read it?
I did not read it.
Oh my god, yeah. So it's, what's her name? Elizabeth Proctor, John Proctor's wife. Like, so John Proctor was fucking Abigail Williams? Was it Abigail Williams? I think it's Abigail Williams. Was totally fucking this teenage girl, and then was like, what am I doing? I shouldn't be fucking this teenage girl. And so he ends things, and she's like so pissy and crazy about it that she just starts like, she's like the one who's like leading all of the girls that are like, she's a witch, all because they got caught playing a game, essentially a game in the woods with Abigail's father's slave. Like, she like brought them out into the woods, and like I think the implication is that she was doing Santeria?
Maybe. Or
something similar. Maybe a voodoo ritual or something. I think there was a chicken involved. That's all I remember. But they were, like, dancing naked in the woods, and so they thought that the slave woman, Tituba, was, like, teaching them witchcraft.
Right.
But then they started being like, I only did that because this girl is actually a witch and she was making us all do it. It becomes this like shifting of blame like every teenager does when they're in trouble.
Oh, because people hate each other, so they'll be like, oh, this bitch that you thought I was close with, oh, she's a cunt. She made me do it.
Oh, we're dropping C's! We're dropping C's on Spooky Sundays!
Oops. We haven't been canceled yet. There's still time.
We're dropping C's! Don't get me wrong, I'm here for it.
Yeah. But that's literally, people are terrible to each other. You'll be like, oh, I thought we were like, oh, we're going to get through this together and it's going to be fine, right? We're going to go out into the woods and be a party. We're going to, like, totally, like, not do any illegal drugs, but, like, it'll be great. And then at the end, then she's like, oh, yeah, that bitch, she made me go out there and, like, I didn't want to, but, like, I was like, yeah, sure, I guess we're friends, but, like, I hate her and, like, I hope that, like, and so it just becomes, like, this whole, it becomes a thing.
I fixed it. It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, so I like the Salem witch trials as like a study of humanity too, because you're absolutely right. Like, we do still see some of the elements, the social elements of what caused so many people to literally get murdered for something that was not real. And how society gets to that point.
I feel like a lot of the way it's presented too in like history and like media and culture is like a lot of misogyny. I mean, honestly.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was like, well, these women must be doing something fucky.
And I think a lot of that, I mean, combines with, you know, religion. I feel like it kind of all ties together in that, like, a lot of people who are religious extremists tend to also be misogynist, and I feel like that kind of goes all the way back to something like the Salem witch trials.
It's almost like it's built right into the religion.
It's almost like it's built right into American culture and society.
I didn't say nothing.
It's true.
I didn't say nothing. There's certainly no strong opinions on a podcast run by a gay man and a fat queer woman in America.
You're here and that's what matters.
We certainly don't have any strong opinions. No.
Yeah.
No.
A-cab.
I have literally never, like, cast a spell on somebody or, like, cast a hex or anything. I also, like, am somewhere between agnostic and atheistic. I'm somewhere in between. I think to call myself an atheist requires a level of certainty that no living person is capable of. if that makes any sense.
Wasn't a lot of like witchcraft, Wicca, and like that sort of thing, like is about nature, and it's about like things that are more tangible and like being in like communication and in like.
Yeah, it acknowledges like an intelligence and an influence bigger than you,
Right.
but without necessarily assigning a single deity to what that is. So what I'll say is like when I'm sitting down to actually do some kind of ritual work, it's because I need to work on me. It's
Right.
because I have to get in touch with myself and strengthen my intention. I'm very into like intention and manifestation, I guess, if that
Right.
makes any sense.
Which I think is how it should be. You should be trying to like influence people and events. It should be about like kind of focusing inward and doing more like internally, or like helping yourself and helping others, rather
Yeah.
than like, I'm gonna hex you because you were bad in bed or something like that.
Yeah, so like when I'm lighting different colored candles and like burning sage and playing certain music and whatever, it's a way for me to feel like I'm...
Have you heard about what was it called? Shufflemancy?
No, I haven't.
Oh, shufflemancy. I feel like it's more be like a seance kind of a thing, but it's a kind of thing where you ask a question and you go through like a Spotify shuffle, and you pick a number in your head and you go through the shuffle a number of times, and whatever song you land on, you listen to the song like kind of in detail and into the lyrics and stuff, and then from there you get like divination. You get like an answer to your question. It could be cryptic, it could be like straightforward.
Do you know what I don't like about that? I don't like how much... If you look for it, you'll find it.
Oh, I just hate the fact that I was like, will I ever be healthy again? The sound that came up was No by Megan Trainor.
Oh, God. Yeah, I did like an end of year like purging for myself where I physically wrote down things I wanted to let go of on
Right.
paper, and I burned them.
Yeah.
And I think that did I need to do that? No. Did it do anything that I didn't still have to mentally do myself? No. But it helps you kind of target that intention and that desire, which I think is really, really cool and really, really helpful. And if you can afford to like buy the tools for it and to go and you have the time and the energy to do it, I found it to be really helpful and really like spiritually uplifting for my own personal self, I guess.
Witchcraft.
Witchcraft!
We're gonna start talking about macrame and bleeding.
Blood magic and
Blood magic.
finger painting.
That blood magic is a weird one. That's one that because I feel like blood is tied to a lot of really dark shit. Like I'm a firm believer that there's two things that give entities creepy shit, like stuff from your nightmares, power over you, and it's blood and your name. So any sort of like spells or like like if you're going into like kind of dark magic shit, and like there's certain like creepypasta rituals that I like to read, but the ones that are like, then you draw your name in blood. I'm like, don't fucking do it, man. That's like a surefire ticket.
Does
one
it
way
have to
hell.
be like your full name though?
You just don't give your name. I would not.
But I'm just saying, like, aren't there like a billion maxes?
Right, but I think but like you're not thinking that necessarily in the moment. Like if even psychologically speaking, using someone's name makes you more influential over them because it makes you seem more personable.
That's very true.
So like, well, Kat, what did you think about that?
That
Or,
is
like,
very
and you use
true.
someone's name repeatedly, you get more ingratiated towards them. And I feel like it's kind of that to an extreme in things like that, where you're giving someone that power over you on like an elevated level, just like you're elevating your spiritual self.
I wanted to do a blood pact with my husband, and he said no.
That just sounds...
So I think he doesn't trust me. I just wanted to do, the thing where you each cut your palm open.
She tried to suggest it to me too, and I was like, no,
I
girl.
did
not. Can you imagine?
Slander.
Slander.
I've only asked one person in my whole world to do it with me, and it was the man who is now my husband, and he did not take it well.
He wouldn't do it.
He was not happy. But you're absolutely right, and I think that kind of ties into like what I was saying, where it's like it's kind of just the energies that we give power to, and like blood is pretty much like what makes your body do things.
I just picture you coming in with your pants like, babe.
Can we do that? I think we were like watching some movie or something where people did it, and I was like, can we do that? He just kind of like did like the slow turn. Like,
no, babe, please come back. Yeah.
Not sure if I was joking or not, and I was like, no, I want to do it. What? It's not like we have any diseases. Like it's fine. Like it's just I think it's really nice to be like our blood mixed together.
It will come closer together. I want to be in you.
Not what I meant. Not what I meant.
That just made me think that fucking meme that's like it's a picture of a water droplet and it's like, hello friend, you should drink more water, and it zooms in on it and says, so I can be in you.
We stay hydrated on Spooky Sundays with Kat and Max.
We do. You're only at good morning, you're not at do it for yourself.
I'm almost at do it for yourself. To be fair, I filled this up an hour.
Wait, what? I was gonna say you should be at what's 1 p.m.
These are like truly the cheesiest.
You should be at like, drink more and almost at tons of energy.
No excuses.
No excuses.
I truly wanted to scrape these off when I got this, and then I just was like, you know what?
They help.
They help. They weirdly do help. Like, but you know what? That just kind of ties into exactly what I was saying. Like, how a ritual helps me target my intentions and helps me feel like I'm actually doing something when just a change of thought, a change of your thought process or an improvement in yourself and your mental health is something that literally takes place entirely inside of your own head. And I think that can cause struggles for people because there's no physical change. There's no evidence of what they're doing. So right. A ritual helps with that. And me, I need to drink more water. Cool. I got this bottle that gives me hour markers and a little bit of motivation. And so I can physically see the difference I'm making in myself. I'm like super not into organized religion at all. And that's another reason why I just am not that interested in like joining a coven or like finding anything like that. Like I kind of don't want to be told how to do it. I'll look into it myself. And I'll make sure I'm not like trampling on some tradition that's not for me. Right. But I really like it as an individual thing, and I think that's when any kind of religion or spiritual belief system works best is when it works individually.
Well, because like there's organized religion, then there's spirituality. I think spirituality is like the healthy thing, and once you start bringing in like almost like politics, I feel like there's a lot of times there's politics that gets brought into it, and like kind of turns it into something where it's no longer about your relationship with whatever deity or whatever spiritual practices you have. It becomes more about the mob mentality and like your interactions with other people in the context of that space. So like it's definitely very it's interesting.
I think if you need a room full of other people telling you that what you believe in is the right thing, that might be an issue.
Yeah.
Like, if you need to go to church every Sunday for your religion, like, what are you not getting between you and your deity that you need to get from other people? And I'm not saying that some communities aren't great. Like, some people it's their social thing. Like, they have, like, a youth group or something. Right. That's one thing. I don't think it's inherently bad. It just seems to spiral out of control really easily.
It's like the bigger it gets, Because, you know, like, I think even, like, stuff like covens and stuff, I think of that less as like a culprit of that or like a perpetrator of that than I think of like a church, like a Catholic church. So I feel like something like a coven is usually smaller. It's usually like a smaller group of people, and I feel like when you have something more tight knit where you're like with friends that all kind of practice the same thing, it's different than like an institution.
And I guess that just makes me like extreme on a certain level because like I don't want anybody involved in what I do. What I do is for me and strictly for me, and I want to be in charge of it completely, and I don't need to share it with anybody. I don't need anybody to reinforce it in me.
Or to tell you that what you're doing isn't right, or like you're doing this wrong. It's like, well, I'm doing something that helps me a certain way. By me performing this ritual with this specific stuff and like with this sage, and like it helps me feel like my energy has shifted. So like, who are you to tell me that it hasn't?
Yeah, and, like, let me make my mistakes. Like I already said, I bought some white sage because I just was like, okay, sage and purifying shit and whatever. Cool, great, awesome. And I haven't used it since I found out that it's causing problems for other practitioners of other religions that it belongs to. It doesn't belong to my white ass. So I like want to find somebody to just give it to and be like, here, I spent $8 on this bag of sage.
Right.
Take it from me. Don't buy your sage at Spirit Halloween. That's tip 1.
This is crazy.
You're buying fun shit at Spirit Halloween. You're not buying actual ritual items.
Well, like, real talk aside from, like, we don't want to get, like, shamey, but at the same time, like, support, like, if you're gonna really just do it, like, support fucking local businesses.
I guarantee you'll pay less for your sage at a local witchcraft shop than you will at Spirit Halloween. Yes, for sure. If your religion, one way or another, is rooted in capitalism, it's a problem.
Yeah.
Obviously, things cost money, but there are more witchcraft shops and more spirituality stores where you can get unbranded, unpackaged, more ethically sourced shit.
For sure.
Don't get it at Spirit Halloween.
Plus, I mean, the age of Rona. Hi, we're filming this in 2020. Coronavirus is still a thing. If you're watching this in the future, maybe it won't be, and that would be really nice.
Maybe. Did I buy myself a triple moon goddess pillow and whatever this is at Spirit Halloween yesterday? Absolutely. But I'm sure as shit not gonna get my sage there.
That just sounds like a bad time. Imagine, like, you're, like, fighting off a demon. I kind of want to segue into, like more, like, modern, like a media interpretation to witchcraft. You're fighting off a demon, and you bring out your white sage, like, you think that shit works? You got it at Spirit Halloween.
Oh my
and
God,
then next thing you know, you're fucking done for because you got your white sage at Spirit Halloween.
I'm just thinking about the fact that if you buy sage at Spirit Halloween, it's like you have to pre-purify the thing that you're using to purify. Like, there's no way that shit is good.
Some Amazon worker had to, like, put it together for you, and no.
Because it was bundled, too. That's the weirdest part. Like, the ones that I bought, it came in a bag, and it was, like, loose leaves of it. So I was like, I like that.
I think I've seen the bundle, like, as a stick, but I'm thinking of something else.
No, you're right. Like a smudge stick.
Yeah.
The bundles exist, but, like, those are for a very specific purpose.
Right.
Like, I wanted to be able to, like, have some that I put into my burn bucket.
Isn't it usually, too, something that you would, like, put together yourself?
I would think. I think you can buy them or get them pre-bound by, like, a person who knows what they're doing. Or you can do it yourself and bind, like, other stuff in there or, like, bind intentions inside of it before you burn it. But listen, if you have to source out your witchcraft... I don't know. There's an Ina Garten joke in here somewhere.
Yeah, if you can't grow your own witchcraft, store-bought is fine.
Store-bought is fine. I mean, we did a hand fasting ritual at my wedding, and I had somebody make the cords for me, but I sourced them from a witch.
Right.
Like, instead, like, I was like, oh, I think somebody could probably do this better than I could.
Right.
So I had them sourced from a witch in Australia. Which was so worth it. It's so good.
I mean, even now, I only, like, if I'm doing, like, Christmas shopping and shit, I only buy shit on Etsy. Like, I like doing, like, handmaids. I've been supporting local artists and supporting local creators and stuff like that. So supporting local witches, I feel like it's just another, like, logical thing. Like, why would you want to get some fucking, like, corporate fucking chain when you can, like, get somebody who, like, knows their craft and, like, does it well and can give you something that's gonna be, like, something that lasts a long time.
Jeff Bezos doesn't need any more of your money.
In Brooklyn, they're doing, I think I told you, they're doing, like, a Down with Bezos, like a conglomerate thing where, like, local shops are going in and, like, doing, like, free shipping and stuff and, like, taking money away from Amazon. Thank God.
Chef's kiss.
Yeah.
Chef's kiss. So, what are your favorite and least favorite representations of witchcraft in media?
I think the newest one that everyone's super into is Sabrina. Chilling Adventures of
Fucking
Sabrina.
love Sabrina. It's problematic and it's stupid from a witchcraft perspective. Like, if you know anything about witchcraft whatsoever, you'll start tearing it apart within the first, like, 2 minutes of watching it, and you're just like, what the fuck? But I can't turn it off. I can't turn it off.
I shunned it for a little bit because I was like, it's not Melissa Joan Hart. I don't want it. And then everyone's like, you need to be fucking watching this show. Why are you not watching it? And I'm like, because it's not Melissa Joan Hart. I can't be bothered.
I haven't heard many of that specific complaint.
That was my initial complaint, and then I finally watched it, and I divorced enough, and it's Éowyn from Lord of the Rings plays Zelda.
Oh my god, I didn't even make that connection.
I didn't either, and then I found out, and I was like, fucking floored. Just Yeah, just throttled me.
I am no man. God damn, that is Miranda Otto, isn't it?
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
Well, shit. Okay. Didn't realize that. God damn.
Yeah, we were realizing things.
I'm a Lord of
today.
the Rings fan too. That's the best
so
part.
Good. It's so good.
So because I really didn't know that like Sabrina was a comic.
Yeah, it was like part of the Archie universe, right?
Yeah, and like I feel like the Sabrina the Teenage Witch, which Melissa Joan Hart, I was so like I grew up on that a little bit. Like I liked it, but it was so different from the comics. Like they took a very, very dark, gothy, creepy comic and made it like a cute teen sitcom.
Right.
And pretty much the only things that were the same were like the names of the characters. But
Right.
so apparently in the Netflix, like Chilling Adventures of Sabrina is much more true
to the
the comics, but is still toned down.
It was, I remember it being super, super creepy. There were certain parts
Apparently,
that I was like, ooh.
Harvey dies and her father's spirit possesses him and keeps dating her.
Don't like that.
Don't like that at all. So, like, I'm really glad they took that out.
Honestly, though, with the tone of the show, it wouldn't have surprised me if they hadn't taken it out of the show.
I know, but I like that. I like a show. I'm especially into, like, a teen show that is, like, pushing boundaries a little bit more, like, not being as worried about what they can and can't handle.
Right.
Because it really doesn't go too far over any line, I don't think.
I don't like it to be any worse than what we're experiencing in the United States in 2020. So
Hey, fucking man.
we're pretty much desensitized to nearly everything at this point.
Truly everything. But I
Get away with more.
really enjoyed. Wow, fuck off. I really enjoyed Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. I'm really upset that it's ending. I really loved The Witch. Obviously, we're gonna discuss The Witch.
Oh yeah, I love that movie. That one was. No one I knew liked my mom didn't like it.
Really?
Yeah, she was like she doesn't like slow burn horror movies though.
It's really the definition of a slow burn.
But it felt like claustrophobic. Like you feel like it felt, and like having the dialogue be like period dialogue, and like just the way they just kind of brought it on a claustrophobic, like a family who's like super hyper religious, and like what that kind of means for family health and interaction.
It's almost like their hyper religiousness like made them more susceptible to the bad things that were happening in the woods, and like almost made them go crazy faster.
It's like an underlying, I think it talks, kind of speaks to like the underlying issue of like a lack of trust in like a family situation with like a reliance on a god figure to bring in that trust. So you already have this family that doesn't necessarily trust each other, then you bring in this kind of witch element of like, oh, well, like these kids are talking to this goat, and like this girl who's kind of, the daughter is kind of an outcast and kind of doesn't feel like a huge part of the family and isn't really accepted, is immediately thrown under the bus and labeled as a witch, and then in the end becomes one.
And also, yeah, it shows like the appeal of going and being a witch in a coven in the woods, and being like, because I think the implication is that she's brought into a dark witch element, like with Black Phillip.
Right.
Like there's some, it's the devil. But
right.
the absolute, I mean, I remember just kind of liking the movie and liking the cast and the script and whatever. I will watch a slow burn. I will watch a drama.
Yeah, for sure.
I love it. But at the very end, when she walks into the woods, and that bit where, at the very, very end where she's starting to levitate, and just that look of like absolute joy on her face, I yelled. Like, I went from liking the movie to being like, holy shit. All right.
Well, it's one of those things, like the draw of the outcast too, because I mean, you have this girl who grew up like as like an outcast in her family, and like who was not trusted and like not really accepted, and then like she loses everything, and then is kind of offered this opportunity to have everything again.
And especially like that like Puritan society, you're so repressed, and I have to imagine that like the feelings of a teenage girl have been somewhat consistent, even if they manifest in different ways.
Right.
I have to assume that the desires of a girl hitting puberty and hitting her teen years and wanting to, like, rebel and be sexual and be free and all this stuff, like, of course you would be drawn into that.
Right.
And of course that would seem ideal. And so, you know what? Good for her.
I think that's a good...
I'm happy for her.
Yeah, good for her.
Good for her. Good for her. Full Lucille Bluth.
Right.
Yeah, so I guess that's episode 1.
That's episode 1.
That's episode 1. We talked about witchcraft. I'm sure we pissed you off if you're a religious person. Thanks for joining us.
But you watched us anyway, so we got a view out of you, and if you dislike it, that's fine.
What else are we going to talk about? Only one way to find out. Subscribe now and stay tuned for some more absolutely pointless rambling about a different spooky topic.
Oh, but next week we're talking aliens.
Is that what we're doing?
We're talking aliens next week.
We're doing next week?
We're talking aliens next week.
Subscribe!
Subscribe. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. And tune in next week. This is Spooky Sundays with Kat and Max. And thank you for watching. Episode 1.